So I want to first, of course, thank everyone. It's so nice to have good times with friends and with family. I want to especially thank my uncles for coming. My uncle Yidel, my uncle Yankee, coming from far away to share with us, and my cousin Miriam, who it's always nice to see her when we can at family events. I'm especially thankful that we have with us our children's great bubby, Grandy, Mrs. Saul Cohn, who it's so special to be able to have her here. You know, the three most recent simchos that this family, the Luxembourg Cohn family, has been the most recent events that we've had has been the birth of Noah, the birth of Yonah, and Zachary, Esti's cousin's bar mitzvah. And we were very fortunate to have at all these events Esti's grandfather, who was able to be there. And this is the first family event that he's not with us, but we know that his presence is here. So it's a very interesting time that yesterday we lamed actually Noah's bar mitzvah parsha. And in his bar mitzvah parsha, we find so many significant tie-ins to what's going on here. What we're doing here is we're not just celebrating Akiva Noach's upsherin and his entry to boyhood, but we're also celebrating, and we're going to make a l'chaim for Yonah's birth. And in this week's parsha, we find that Korach, and there's a lot of very interesting discussions of who Korach is and what he did, what was this rebellion all about. But Korach was a Kohen, and he put, just 1 year after the Exodus, just 1 year later, he put the Jewish people in a very, very difficult position to where they were very close to anarchy. And Moshe had to step up and make a big decision of what exactly to do and show his leadership. And we all know the outcome of Moshe's actions. Is it stabilized? Just 1 year after going out of Mitzrayim, he made a leadership type decision. The Torah doesn't just tell stories. And it certainly doesn't tell stories or name parshios after bad guys. So what was going on and what is the Torah trying to tell us, and what it's trying to tell us, in my opinion, is that leadership is an incredibly important quality for people to show. And if you then follow along to the Haftorah that Noah's going to read one day, we see the first time that the leader of Bnei Yisrael, that Shmuel Hanavi, appoints a king. And appointing a king, this is just 400 years after the Exodus, that these immigrants, that these slaves, that these nobodies go into this land, and all of a sudden, they're ready, they're poised to be the leaders of their region, a major power in the world, and they call for a king, and Shmuel Hanavi appoints this Kohen, and this Kohen named King Saul, who was the first leader. He was the first official leader, and we all know the outcome of his leadership, because it led to David HaMelech, Shlomo HaMelech, to the Beis HaMikdash. Now, we know that Akiva, when last time, or 2 events ago when we got together, that Akiva was my grandfather, but we also added the name Noach. And Noach was added to Akiva because it was an auspicious time of year where we're looking for comfort. We're looking for comfort from Hashem, from losing the Beis HaMikdash. And we know that Noach got his name. One of the reasons is because he brought Manoach. He brought peace and he brought harmony to farmers or to people thereof of some of his innovations. Now, the one person that I didn't yet thank, you see, I can appreciate what you all are seeing over here because I am also a guest. And I come in, and it's so beautiful, and I gotta admit, it wasn't due to my work. It wasn't due to my hard work. Esty tended to every detail, everything that you see here, and she literally worked very hard on every detail. And I think that we've already seen with Moshe and with Shmuel and with Shaul, both Shauls, we're talking about the importance of a legacy and the outcome of decisions that's made. And I think that the only time that a man can really make decisions and can move forward in ways is when he has a menucha, when he has a piece of spirit. And that piece of spirit that I have has only come because of Esty and her hard work. And we're all enjoying it now. And I think that the biggest thing that Esty brings to my life is something that we're all right now seeing a small part of in such a beautiful event. So, and I thank her, and I love her. So last time we spoke about Akiva, about my grandfather. Similarly to what we just heard, we heard about an immigrant, about a young boy who shows up in Mexico, of all places. Here I am, and a nobody coming from a destroyed land, very quickly rising in spirit and rising in his Yiddishkeit and in his Torah, and able to create a legacy that really is unbelievable in such a short amount of time. Similar to the Jews. They have the Exodus, and due to leadership, just 400 years later, we're on the cusp of David HaMelech, Shlomo HaMelech. And this young boy comes from Mexico, comes from Europe to Mexico, and is able to, through his leadership and through his leadership style, he's able to build something that's so special and so strong. You know, the last time we spoke about Akiva, we didn't really know Noah. We didn't know him. He was a little baby. He was 8 days old. But over the last 3 years, we have seen his character. We've seen his personality. And it's interesting that we are always saying that we're seeing the same character traits as we did in my grandfather. My grandfather had significant qualities of being stern. And sometimes by his wife, whose name was Taiba, or Yonah, because our daughter was born in Parshas Noah. So his wife saw the sweetness and saw all the wonderful qualities that could have very easily, the stern and tough leadership that was so successful, could have easily been misconstrued. And we see that in Noah day in and day out. It's funny, we talk about Noah runs this house. I mean, he runs the show, but he's got this such a sweet, beautiful quality to him that we're so thrilled that we've seen his character traits that are so much in the mazel of what we were trying to name after. And it's interesting that the word Noah being added when we talked about Noah's name, aside from Manoah, it was also another translation for it was talking about God's grace and his comfort. And that was best exemplified by Noah when the Teva landed and he let out this Yonah, and the Yonah comes back and he took it as a very comforting sign of God's grace. And it's interesting that the one lady who, even to me personally, my grandmother Taibe, complained to me in a loving and joking way about, you see how he talks to me? But she appreciated and saw exactly what legacy, what he was doing, and it's so obvious now. At what he left, my grandfather has family in the United States, in Mexico, in Israel, and it's such an amazing legacy that he left. Similarly, we look at the Cohn, Luxembourg side of the family, at our great-grandfather who can't be here, Shaul, and we see this amazing legacy that he put in front of him. And, you know, when we talk about the Parsha and we talk about Moshe and Shaul, If you really look into the things that went on, Shaul HaMelech, if you want to look at any one individual action, you can have criticism. You can say that there are things that should have been different and he shouldn't have done this or that, but I think ultimately what you judge someone about is not the individual deeds or actions, but you have to fast forward and you got to then look back and see what did those decisions all cumulatively come out to. And it's very obvious right now where those decisions, or where all of those life and leadership decisions from both my grandfather Akiva, my grandmother Taibe, great Bubbas and Zaydis, Shoal and Grandy, to see exactly what they've done and what they've created. And Baruch Hashem, our Bubbies and Zaydis, our mother and fathers, it can all be seen because it's omnipresent. So when Akiva Noach gets up and lanes the Parsha, he'll be having constant reminders. And that's just a reminder at 13 years old. It's a mere blink in time. But the omnipresent influence and legacy is something that he'll always see, and my daughter Yona can always see, and we can always see and feel. And the reminders are just a little thing, a little present that we get, like the Parsha, or like a baby naming, or a get-together. But that's not what defines it. So my bracha is that both Noah and Yona, as well as our family and our friends, should be able to look at this legacy of our Bubbies and Zaydis and our mothers and fathers and look at their successes and be able to build on that because we have such wonderful influences to build on.
That's right, that would have been a good